Glenn, great to see you yesterday in the Rose Garden. Obviously, not
Likewise.
under the circumstances that I'd like to see you, but it was an amazing celebration of Charlie's life.
It was, and it was a perfect day for it. Just as it started, the sun came out. It was supposed to rain all day yesterday, and it was just it was a glorious thing, and really appropriate, done with a lot of class and a lot of empathy and heart. It was really nice.
Yeah, and it was a nice mix. I mean, I will tell you, it was pretty cool. I wasn't sure of this until the president said it. It was the first time he held an event in that new Rose Garden. And you got to tell me, because maybe I'm off. I played this at the beginning of the show. Like, as you're sitting there waiting, you and I had just passed each other, to then all of a sudden hear ABBA playing, Bonnie Tyler's Total Eclipse of the Heart. I go, the president
the president, you can tell the president this is his playlist, and all of that stuff was normal, which is weird. But then, right before I saw the door start to open and then close again, and they turned off Bonnie Tyler and they went to a Michael Crawford song.
Yes, and then a Pavarotti.
Yeah, and Pavarotti. And the president has such a skill of showmanship in everything that he does. It was quite the show yesterday.
The thing that was interesting to me, and you posted a picture, I feel like I kind of got cropped out, but I wasn't in it. But it was, so the thing that was interesting to me is Charlie Kirk turned 32 yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this audience, and there are Titans: Glenn Beck, Bill O'Reilly, Tucker Carlson. I'll give Jesse Water Titan status for this conversation. But I'm looking, and I was like, I mean, the funeral memorial was pretty epic and amazing in its own right. But I'm looking out at frankly, let's be honest, like from a messaging standpoint, you guys are like the Titans. And
Megyn Kelly was there. She should have been in that picture too.
Okay, well, Okay, keep going. But my point is, I was amazed, and I continue to be amazed at the breadth and depth that a then 31-year-old had on this movement.
I think what attracts people to Charlie, at least for me, is, I met him when he was 16 years old. And he said, I want to be like you. I want to do what you do. And I said, well, it's good. You have some goals, and, I'll help you any way I can. And I said, but you got to work for it. And that kid worked. And every time I saw him, he was smarter. He was wiser. He had taken more classes. He had read more books. He was buckling down. He had this ability to, not a lot of people can build the race car and drive the race car. He could at a very early age, and he got better and better and better. And, when you apply your life and every second of your life to learn more, to be better, to be a better human being, like he did, I don't think he wasted any time. At that age, you see what, just by living a good life, by doing what you're supposed to do, and investing in your own intellect and your own skills, you're taken from the earth, man. Look at what the Lord can do with all of that. I mean, he was an amazing guy. 1 in a million it was like Charlie Kirk.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this conversation, but if you're looking for a way to get to sleep tonight and stay asleep, I've got the answer for you. For over a year, I've been taking Beam's Dream Powder. It has made a world of difference. I fall asleep faster, I stay asleep, and I wake up ready to go. If you want to join me by taking 1 scoop every night before you get to bed, go to shopbeam.com/Spicer. Use code word Spicer at checkout for up to 40% off. Trust me, everything stems from a great night's sleep. Go to shopbeam.com/Spicer, code word Spicer. All right, back to the conversation. And don't fall asleep yet. I want to ask you a question, and I hope it's not inappropriate, but you're someone that I respect and I want the opinion of. I have largely ignored the noise, and that's what I'll call it, from people like Candace Owens, who have injected some controversy into Charlie's beliefs, his faith. Is this something like I've ignored it because I really believe that we should honor Charlie and not get into it. But I don't know whether there's some merit. It should be looked into. Like, there are some points that are bringing up. Should we be looking into these issues? Should we ignore it? Should we give it credence? Like, what is your advice for those, like, for people like me that are trying to figure out, should we just honor Charlie? Should we look at these issues that are getting brought up? Or is it, hey, don't go there?
Well, I don't believe that any topic is off limit in investigation, in an honest search for truth. Charlie was a peacemaker, and he was trying to hold everybody together. And he was friends with Candace, and didn't want to do anything to spoil a relationship with Candace. I want to keep, Tucker and I disagree on things. We talked yesterday, and I said, we disagree on things, but we have to stick together. We have to be able to disagree with each other in public and have a decent debate with one another, and not burn bridges between each other. We have to, otherwise we're going to blow everything up and it's going to be over. So I don't want to get involved in any of that. I filled in for Charlie at the University of North Dakota, and I was very disturbed to hear some of the things that were coming out of some of the students. It is this virulent anti-Semitism. And look, I want to make sure everybody understands, you can disagree with Israel. You don't have to support Israel. You don't have to like their war, how they fought their war. You can think they're doing things badly, et cetera, et cetera. And you can, I think personally, Israel can stand on its own 2 feet. We can sell them things, but I don't want to fight their wars, and I don't want to fund it. I don't want to fund anybody, quite honestly. But there's a difference between that and saying Hezbollah and Hamas is good, or as some of these students said to me, how can you even prove? What's your proof that Hamas killed any of those people on October 7th? That was a little shocking.
Yeah.
But they brought up things to me like the USS Liberty. And that story. I've looked into that story. You're never going to be able to prove one way or another. I think it was fog of war, and there might have been some people that wanted to keep America out of that 6-day war. I don't know. But, everybody's done that. AIPAC is another one. I think the law should be changed. I think AIPAC should be, under FARA. But I also think, the Cuban American should be under FARA as well. There's lots of these organizations that aren't under FARA. The world has changed. We should probably look into that. Whatever it is, I want everyone to play by the same rules. That's all I want. So when you're looking into these things, there's nothing wrong with looking into them and then having a reasoned conversation. My concern is people are not asking honest questions. They're not willing to hear another person's point of view. And that's when people get killed. And we have to listen to other people, and we have to ask them, how did you arrive at that? I really want to understand how you arrived at that. Because if we can learn how they're thinking, maybe we can change our thinking if we happen to be wrong, or they will change theirs. But it requires both parties to be asking honest questions. And what that means is I'm willing to change my point of view if you bring a fact up that says, oh, wait a minute, I'm completely wrong. I misunderstood that entirely. Yeah. If you're willing to change, then that's a great thing to do.
Well, I mean, that's the spirit of what Charlie did. He sat in a quad and said, come up to me if you disagree with me and let's talk. Out of curiosity, when you brought up Tucker, do you guys has there been a public break on an issue that you think has gone awry, or are you guys at a civil level where you think I can disagree?
No,
with
we're fine.
Yeah,
I mean, we disagree. For years we've disagreed on different topics and everything else. But pardon me.
That's fine. That's great.
It's totally fine. That's the way you should be. That's the way you should be. That's. I mean, how boring would we would all be Democrats if we were forced to believe exactly the same things.
By the way, you posted something that sort of crystallized what I was thinking yesterday as I was sitting there watching the ceremony. I just want to read this for people because you said, on my way to see real Donald Trump tomorrow, I'll be there for the Medal of Freedom Award for Charlie Kirk. I don't know how the man is not exhausted. I believe he has done more in 9 months than FDR in 2 terms. It would be if Congress would do their job and act. Amazing day for MAGA. The president was relaying the story yesterday about coming back and the potential. And I'm like, I don't think people fully appreciate. He left on Sunday. landed in Israel, greeted the hostage who had just been released, addressed the Knesset, got back on a plane, flew to Egypt for the signing deal, got back on a plane, flew to to the DC, landed, greeted the Argentinian President Milei, had a bilateral lunch meeting with him, and then presented the Medal of Freedom at slightly after 4 o'clock at that point.
And I was told had zero sleep for 36 hours. I mean, listen to my voice. I'm so tired. I flew back, just from Washington, and I'm tired. I don't know how this guy does it. He is superhuman. As he said, it's all genetics. And I think with him, it is. It's just genetics. He's superhuman.
How do you think, speaking of that peace deal, I'm still trying to, I know the media is already trying to tear it apart. Oh, it'll probably not last. But how big of a deal? I still am amazed at the disparate groups that came together, right? You've got these Arab countries, the Europeans, Hamas, Israel, the United States. I don't think people fully appreciate the magnitude of what it took to get all these people in a room, even for 10 seconds to agree, never mind hopefully for a lasting peace.
I don't believe there's going to be lasting peace over there for, hopefully it lasts, a year, 2, 5 years. I don't know. But I mean, they've been at war with each other forever. But I do think there's a fundamental change, and it requires the American leadership. I mean, Donald Trump knows how to lead the world. Everybody said, oh, we're going to be, laughed at. No. The leaders of the world respect the president. They may not like him, but they respect him, and he is leading the world. When you have, I've never seen this before, Sean. I don't know if you saw, you always see the picture when they're, with a G8 or something. Everybody is together and they take one picture.
They call it the family photo.
I've never seen the president have a photo line with kings and prime ministers in the line. I've never seen that until, last week. And they waited. That line was a 30-minute wait. And the king of Saudi Arabia waited in that line to take his picture. I mean, this is true American power at its best, making deals to try to get everybody together on the same page. He understands the Middle East, I think, better than any other president has understood the Middle East. And he is able to show the real problem is Iran. And we all know in the Middle East, Israel knows it, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, you all know that. So let's come together and build in Gaza what can be done, bring it into the future. Let's stop all this warring and build something worthwhile and keep Iran at bay. And yet in his speech, he did not tear Iran apart. He said, we welcome you to the family of nations. Just stop this stuff. And we want you to be prosperous as well. And, that is very appealing, very appealing. Can I ask you something, Sean? I'm really struggling with what's happening with the Pentagon and this new rule on the press. Where do you stand on that? What are your thoughts on that?
All right, so I'm going to give the standard disclaimer. My views are mine and mine alone, and not those of the Department of Navy, the Department of Defense, because I continue to serve, so I have to be careful. But here's what I don't think people fully appreciate, Glenn. Have you go to Washington once in a while? I know you're down there safely in Texas, and I wish some days I spent more time down with you.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to the Department of Education or the Health and Human Services or whatever?
Uh-huh.
Okay. When you walk in, do they let you walk around wherever you want?
No.
Okay. When you go to the Pentagon right now, if you applied for credentials, the Glenn Beck program or the Blaze, whatever, and you said, I'd like a press pass. Here's, I own the Blaze, but I'm going to send a correspondent or whatever. They would get a badge and then they could walk freely about the Pentagon. The same
with the badge.
With the badge, the same way that when I was stationed by themselves, when I was stationed at the Pentagon 3 times, same deal. I had a different badge. It was a Pentagon work badge versus a press badge. And I could go basically all the same places the press could go. Obviously, when you got access to certain secure areas, that would be on a need to go basis. But my point largely is, so I worked in the chairman's office, the joint staff. They could walk into that office. They could walk right up to my desk. When I worked for the Office of Secretary of Defense, they could walk into my office, walk up to my desk, right? Literally up to my desk. Now, I've been to Mercury Studios. Could I walk in right now and do that?
No.
Okay. I know because I've been there. You guys have someone at the front desk. They ask you to sign in. They take your picture, right? Standard security stuff.
Escort you in.
What Secretary Hegseth did at the Department of Defense is, number one, say that you have to have a badge. It has to be visible. You have to be escorted in non-secure place, in non-whatever. And then the big controversy, of course, is what they're additionally asking them to do, which is to say, if you solicit classified information, you cannot go out and solicit classified information. I think those are reasonable. And again, all it's saying is if we're going to give you access to the building and you're going to be able to go up to places where you will have potentially access to individuals who have classified information, you cannot go up to them and solicit classified.
Here's my question. The question that where I think it crosses a line, if I understand it right, is that I have to have my story vetted. If anything in there is not officially released by the Pentagon or by the government, then I'm breaking the law somehow. And that we'd never have any whistleblowers. We'd never have any stories in the news. If something's going wrong, we have to have a press that's able to do that. I want responsible press, but where is how do we solve that without saying everything's got to be approved
And
by the
I think the line for me is here. I agree with you, right? I want a press that says, hey, are you wasting money? Are you doing something nefarious or illegal? And I want you to blow the whistle on that. Where I think, and again, I have not looked into the depth of these. I haven't actually seen the actual document they have to sign.
Right.
My understanding, as it was explained to me, is to say, if we're going to give you access where you can come into our building and go up to these individuals, which is what they would have, then you have to promise that you're not going to solicit information that's illegal or classified that you wouldn't be able to get outside the building. So if the Washington Post wants to stand outside the Pentagon or make 10 phone calls or walk down the street and go somewhere, they have absolutely every right to do that. The exchange is, if you want to come into the building and you're going to solicit information that's illegal or classified, you need to then tell us if you're going to run a story and it has to do with that. That I see where they're going, which is, you don't want to sit in the building. You can't do that at the Department of Health and Human Services. I can't go into Mercury Studios and start soliciting your employees for intellectual property or, okay. Right. But I can stand right outside your office. I can stand down the street and you can't do anything about it. I agree. And that's where I think the line has to be, which is, if we're going to allow you to come in and to get access, we have a right that you don't go use that privilege to solicit information. I agree with you, though, and I will take it upon myself now to delve a little bit further and figure out where that line is, because I agree with you. I want a healthy, skeptical press that looks at our government and says, whoa, you're crossing the line, you're hiding things, you're wasting money, you're inefficient. I'm for that. But I don't want to trade this access for, I get to come in. And like I said, if I came into your building and got a visitor's pass that I'm going to be on the Glenn Beck show today, and then I started using that access to walk around and knock on people's offices and say, hey, can I ask a couple questions about how Glenn does business? And could you share with me some of the payroll?
You would not be invited back. You would never come in the building again.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. 100%.
So that's where I think the line is. And that's where I will follow up on that. It's a very good point, because we need a free and skeptical and healthy press.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you find that out, call me.
I will. I'll do that.
I
will. I'll actually get, I think I know some people.
I think you do.
So I want to get back to your show, though. And you guys have done, the president mentioned this yesterday in his speech, but you guys on your show and The Blaze have done some amazing work getting to the bottom of Antifa. And I want to know, like, what fascinates me, and the president brought this up yesterday in terms of the funding of Antifa, who's behind it. In your investigation and deep dive into Antifa, have you guys started to uncover who's behind all this?
I'm not at a place that I'm comfortable in saying yes on that yet. We have found, obviously Soros fingerprints on some things, but I can't get closer than the people that are supporting, for instance, the people who are, sending the lawyers out, and they've got lawyers on the ground. Well, is that something that is illegal? They're supporting freedom of speech, I guess. I really disagree with it, but I don't think that's illegal. We haven't gotten to the place yet to where we can point the finger and say, those are the people that are, putting the bricks down. I think I was talking to Peter Schweitzer this morning about this, and I think there is a RICO case that is eventually going to be made. We're currently working with several researchers now. We're going to do a special in January, late January, early February, tying all of this together, because the RICO statute can come into play here, because there is enough evidence. I'm just not comfortable sharing it yet and knowing that it's accurate. There is enough evidence out there to show that this has been a long-term plan. And the other thing about not being comfortable tying it directly to the streets, there are going to be ties there, but I think we also have to understand the left is winding unstable people up. I think that's why the Antifa thing is so dangerous. These are unstable people that they are winding up, and it doesn't take a lot of money. You don't have to pay them to do this stuff. They want to do it because they become convinced, and this is all their life is. So when you have people who are living on the street and you can wind them up, that's different than somebody who is actually running Antifa.
But you mentioned lawyers. Somebody's got to pay the lawyers, right? I mean, there's got to be money.
That's Soros is one of those funders for the lawyers. But is that illegal, Sean?
No,
is that
I don't
illegal
care.
Too?
I don't. No. I'm not questioning whether it's legal or illegal, right? That's a whole separate story. But I believe that what needs to be found is they're acting like this is all organic, right? And whether it's the lawyers or the tents or the signs, somebody's funding it. Now, again, to your point, right. I don't think it's illegal. It's probably covered under the First Amendment largely. But also, if you're delving into the world of campaigns, which is I want to elect or not elect an individual that's running for office, then there's a campaign finance aspect as well, potentially. But I think,
but it's not even about that. This is to disrupt the business of the government. This is revolutionary,
right?
And that's what makes Antifa so dangerous. It's not just about electing people; it's about tearing the entire system down.
100%. And also, I believe the idea that there's this false media narrative that it's all organic. This no kings thing. Oh my God, look at all these random people just randomly gathering in cities all over the country at once for no apparent. I mean. And the narrative is it's organic. We know it's not. That's the bigger problem.
It's also, this is what has been done with color revolutions. You know this better than most. Color revolutions all around the country. This is the way it's done. You go in and you train activists to go and do their thing. You just provide training. That's all you're doing. You provide training and they go do it. And you've seen it now in Nepal, just overturned with a leaderless coup is what they're calling it in Nepal. And it was done mainly online, done with Gen Z people that are out on the street. And it's spreading. There's like 8 different countries now that are having this in Africa and Asia. And it is all leaderless. This is a very well thought out, well planned thing, just like Arab Spring. Everybody said that was leaderless. No, we know the United States now is involved, funding, and Facebook was behind a lot of what happened in the Arab Spring. There are people that are enabling these things and teaching these things.
Yeah. The last thing I want to ask you is an issue that I got to just give you huge kudos for bringing this up. I keep ringing the bell. I don't think our country and especially our leaders fully appreciate the existential threat that China poses militarily and economically. And on your show the other day, you put this clip out. You said there's a quiet war brewing between China and the U.S. over rare earth minerals, and we cannot lose it. 100% every day of the week. Yes, yes, yes to this. And I'm so glad that you are. I mean, you have a much bigger platform than so many people in our country. And so why don't you explain why it's so important that we not lose this battle?
So it's really strange. When we're talking about AI and AGI, general intelligence and artificial superintelligence, I hope we don't go there. I hope the world comes to its senses. But you still have people like Sam Altman who want to build what he calls Sam God. And they are trying to build a super intelligence. I don't think China will go there. I hope not, because they're so into control. And once you get there, you lose control. You cannot control this. But we are looking now at AI. Just the AI that we have will change the world. And our rare earth minerals, we have enough in our own country, but it's dirty to go sort through them. So we buy them for China. Why would we buy these from China? We have 80% of all rare earth minerals are coming from China, and they just cut us off. No more rare earth minerals. That's why Donald Trump was talking about Greenland when he first got in. He wants the rare earth minerals. Again, we have them, but they mine them already. It's going to take an act of God to get those things mined here all across the country and mainly in Alaska. Nobody's going to, the environmental people will not put up with it. If we don't have those, we don't make chips, we don't make guidance for any kind of defense, we don't have phones, we fall so far behind in the race. We cannot compete with technology if China controls all of that. If on top of that, China is preparing for war with Taiwan, that's not a war we can fight. We don't have the supply lines that could make it all the way to Taiwan. They will march in and they will take it. But when they take it, if we're not smart and if we haven't loaded that thing with explosives, they get the high-tech chip manufacturing that they would own all of the manufacturing for the supercomputers and for guidance systems and everything else that you can't make anywhere else in the United States. Only Taiwan is making these things like this. If they get that, again, we're completely out and we're at the mercy of China. I don't know how we're going to deal with this. I just had a guest on today, Sean, about power. We are in 2028. We will be having rolling brown and blackouts. We're at 10%. No, I'm sorry. We're at 5% of our power right now. By 2028, we're talking about building these server farms, and they're talking about I think it's a 1 gigawatt, I can't remember, of power plants. That's what Denver needs to run. And that's one server farm. They're talking about 2, 6, and 10 gigawatts server farms. We don't have the ability to do that. We have to get very, very serious. If we want to compete, we have to get more serious than we are, and we have to have discussions with the mainstream. All of these decisions are being made at the corporate level and at the presidential level. They are going to affect everyone's job, their life, their power, the way we live our lives. It has to be brought down to the level of the average person. So we are also charting this course together.
Yeah. Glenn Beck, always appreciate your insight and time. It was an honor and a pleasure to see you yesterday under unfortunate circumstances. And thank you for being with us once again.
Thanks, Sean.
Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.